Theo. Hi, Shira. Hello. Another Mndy Rds, where we get dog adventures, which are still continuing at my feet, but they're probably at the beginning there of this video, unless I edited them out. Yes, you might notice I have glasses now. These are just reading glasses, though I have stuff to read, so I figured I'd put them on and debut them on the channel. Now I too have a chance of, at the end of the apocalypse, my glasses will break and I won't be able to read. That or I'll just turn into my father, which is my other other great worry. He had glasses not just for reading but for just walking around this. But I'm going to deal with getting older. I truly am, and part of that is just like, yep, I got glasses now. Okay, I can read better, which is the main thing that I'm finding great, finding really wonderful. My Kindle here, I've gone way down on where I had the font blown up into like really large print letters, and now it's back to more of a kind of a normal thing. So that is awesome. Yeah, so that's been happening this week. This week on BookTube, my favorite thing has happened, which is a whole bunch of videos in response to an video, which was done by, kicked off by Michael Nip, where he posited popularity is the only objective standard when it comes to books. The genius of that is it was so fun to disagree with, and a whole bunch of really cool booktubers did a whole string of videos on this, where I was at the library at Alexandria, Attention, Average Joe's Library, and Steve Donahue, and I kind of jumped onto this very late with Bookish. I'm now in the rain, so this will make this video quicker, right? Or I'll just be very wet by the end of it. But Brian at Bookish is where I found out about this, at which point I stopped the video at the very beginning and then went back and I watched all the videos all the way through, and it's just a really stellar series of videos, all entertaining from all of them. So I would totally recommend that. Pushing down the very wet pod doodle. Oh my god. Okay. That was the first part of my video. Now I'm going to press pause and run inside because it's raining like crazy. Who knew? I live in Victoria and the rain would be here. All right. See you in a second. All right. All right, and then the second part of my video, relocated to my much drier office, where let me tell you about the books I read this week. Yes, I'm holding up this, but it is actually holding up for the last time, unless I do an actual review of the book, which I think I might. It's Gullivers Travels by Jonathan Swift, where I finished off reading this out loud to myself. And this has been all Port 4, Voyage to the Winhams, these supremely rational, gentle horses who are it's the utopia of Gulliver's Travels, a society where this is the utopia. There's a lot of references in here. Apparently, this is me looking at the notes to Thomas More's Utopia, which is something that I feel like this is one of these other pushes to go back and actually read the original work. But yeah, the Winhams, with their beasts of burden, the vile, detestable, abominable, just repellent yahoos, which are human beings. They're human beings without that tincture, that little taste of reason, and that's why Gulliver's master, the horse that kind of adopts him and brings him into his home, it finds Gulliver sort of so fascinating. And it's the section that I think you can see. This is the section that really broke Gulliver as a character. He comes out of this section really broken about humankind, and at the end is is very alienated from humankind that has been revealed. And I mean, this, stepping back from that, of the idea of Jonathan Swift, pre-Freud, his thing of ripping off the blinders of saying that, you know, humans are not like the rational animal. They are consumed with all the lusts, the irrationality, all the things that govern them, all the things that shape their lives. It's not reason. It is not reason. And he's doing this in the age of the Enlightenment. It's significant that earlier sections here, or the Flying City, is very much kind of attacks on stuff like Newtonian things in science. And I was thinking, well, that's very anti-intellectual. But no, Swift is kind of coming at it from not like, science is bad, but just that the human beings who are perpetrating this science are all too human in themselves. It's an interesting balance there. So yeah, I really enjoyed this book. It is probably would be considered dry, and it would be considered, it's kind of a fantastic tale, but it's told pre kind of the advent of the novel and a lot of the kind of novelistic kind of techniques that we use now. It's more essayistic in a lot of ways, but Jonathan Swift was the essayist. Modest Proposal and A Tale of a Tub. This is a guy who could write damn hell of an essay, and he does amazing lists. I thought of there's talk of like how certain novelists love to do lists and the rhythm of them, and it's like reading these out loud was like really enjoyable. So there's the prose there, which is clear and captivating, if essayistic. Yeah. So yeah, really enjoyed that. The second book, I actually finished a fair bit. I finished a fair bit this time. The second book that I finished was Ascodentially in Love, by K.L. Hears. And this book is a Cthulhu tentacle erotica love story mystery that actually Steve Donahue recommended, and I was looking for kind of a fun, light book, and that it was. Some of the sex scenes in here go on a bit, even for me. It maybe sometimes in these kinds of stories, I'm like, oh, they kind of skimped on the kind of hot, sexy times. This does not skimp on the hot and sexy times. They're very explicit hot and sexy times between the two male lovers, though one of those male lovers has tentacles, and tentacles come into play, and tentacles are named. But yeah, I did enjoy it. I was, in the best case scenario for a book like this, I'm looking for a 5-star, 3-star book. A book that is like, okay, we're not aiming for high literature. We're not aiming to transcend and blow my mind. We're aiming to entertain me and just like, give you a good time. And some books can do that so well that they are 5-star, 3-star books, because okay, their ambition isn't super high. They're not, what they're asking things is maybe not, but they can really achieve that. I would probably call this a 3-star book. When it comes down to it, it was entertaining. I can see where it could have been better. The mystery could have been a little bit more engaging. The romance could have had a little bit more kind of twists and turns to it. It felt a little bit like the author was just like, okay, here it is, and the characters will explain it to you, and yeah. But all in all, I was looking for a fun time, fun read with hot tentacle sex. And oh boy, I guess I got that. Thank you, Steve. This is the first in the, what is it? In the what's it called? The Sucker for Love Mysteries series. So there are actually 2 more out. cracking my heart and head over tentacles. So I'm not going to go get to them immediately, but the next time I'm feeling like something a little a little lighter, I'll definitely will go for that. Um, I also finished listening to Empire of the Wild by Cherry Demeline, which is a 2020 novel by Ontario Métis Canadian author about a Métis community in Ontario, and it is a kind of a Métis werewolf story, a ruggaroo, where Joan, woman's husband, goes missing, and and a little bit a year later she finds that, oh my god, this is my husband, but he thinks his name is Eugene Wolfe and he's a preacher and he's working for this kind of shady business guy who seems to be using religion to get native people and Métis people to sign over rights to land and stuff like that. And there is a appropriate kind of amount of a battle going on there. I like how there's a couple of the bad guy female characters on the other side that are actually kind of drawn out for a little bit more kind of fleshed out character. Hires himself is evil businessman, more kind of nakedly evil. But I mean, what can you say about people like this? I really liked that. No, this isn't like super erotic, but there was just like the kind of the frank sexuality of Joan and her relationship with her husband, and how that was going to be a part of how she was going to remind her husband Victor that he was a man still, that he was her man, and that the way to go through that is through that sexuality, which was actually kind of, her one of her powers. Also, just sort of a good way of bridging me into kind of Métis in Canada. I said last time Métis were it's a Canadian peoples who are of mixed European and native ancestry. It is more complicated than that, as I've read on. There are kind of the Métis of kind of the Red River, Louis Riel thing, but there's other communities throughout Canada which also call themselves Métis, and there's varying things on who recognizes who. There's identity politics, and kind of just trying to figure this stuff out. There's tests saying like, well, okay, yeah, just because you're of mixed heritage doesn't necessarily automatically make you a Métis. There's connections with an actual Métis community. There's a lot of different complicated things, which as a white guy, I'm trying to kind of like understand, but basically just to go, oh, this is complicated, and this is something to learn more about, as the Métis, Louis Riel, are kind of one of these core things. You going back into Canadian history, there was the rebelled as a result of Canada sort of sucking up Rupert's Land, which the Hudson's Bay Company owned and sold to Canada. But what right did they actually have to sell it? And there's the Métis, and then there's their complicated relationship with other native peoples as well. So yeah. It's a genre fiction, because I would call this a genre fiction, fun, engaging genre fiction, but with that undercurrent of, hey, history, hey, learning about Canada, but this way, and motivating me to read more about this sort of the Métis people, all the various Métis people. So yeah, I finished that, And then I started Shadows Linger, which is number two in the Black Company series, which is kind of a grim, dark fantasy world. This one was written this is number two in the Black Company series, the first one being the Black Company, in 1984 by Glenn Cook, American fantasist. And this is very much it's kind of early grim dark stuff, and it's very much kind of war story where the main characters of the Black Company are mercenaries who have been taken into the service of a dark lady, dark lord, but a dark lady, and this is sort of the continuation of that story. We There was a session in the first novel about with the rebel, which is kind of it's got a very kind of Vietnam kind of feel to it, of them looking for there's the reincarnation of the White Rose, the one that brought down the Dark Lord, who the lady was the partner of the last time, that she was going to be reincarnated, and there was this obsession that she was going to arise, and that she was somewhere within the rebel ranks. And at the end of the Black Company, you learn that that's not where she was, but she's around. And then this novel, we're seem to be getting a continuation of that story. We also get like a cool side story. With a cowardly tavern owner. I'm like about chapter 16 into this. A cowardly tavern owner is kind of the side story. Shed. And just like he cannot get a break. He's in super debt. Raven, who is one of the Black Company who deserted at the end of the last thing, is there, and he's getting him to do really nasty stuff. I mean, they're all doing kind of really nasty, brutal stuff. Like when it's war, it's like, yeah, we took prisoners and then we executed the prisoners because you're not going to leave these guys to get away and or drain your resources. It's really it's dark, but it's also kind of chocolatey goodness, kind of sort of gothic in a way. Very much kind of there's a Conan. There's definitely a feel of Robert E. Howard's kind of Conan within this series. The level of writing and atmosphere, and just kind of the no nonsense characters. Though these are soldiers who are just like, I'm getting too old for this. I'm just tired. It's like it's pointless. We just kill and kill rebels, and they keep on coming back. It's just like, why are we still doing this? Kind of that, but it's really engaging. Glenn Cook is a really fine engaging writer. And then finally, because I finished Empire of the Wild, which I've been listening to, I picked up Bina by Anakina Schofield, a 2019 novel. I haven't read her first one, that I think it was Martin John, which had a lot of things. And I've only just started that, and it's very much kind of like a first person monologue. At least apparently maybe it's set out interestingly on the page, but as read by the author, like I listened to Actress, read by the author there, by Anne Enright. These two Irish authors. Anakina Schofield is a Irish Canadian author. She was born and was in I think in 1970, and lived in Ireland until like 1999, but now is a Canadian and has been doing her writing. Her writing career has been here, so I guess Canada gets to claim her. But this is her writing the story of Bina, an old woman who is just so goddamn tired of men. And she's busy, but it's the opening bits of this is like, this is a novel in warnings. I'm going to warn you about stuff, and the first thing I'm going to warn you about is men. And there's ditch, because she found this first man, Eddie, in a ditch, and he just wouldn't leave, and he finally he did, and he emigrated to Canada. Thank God. I don't know what they're going to do with him over there. Bina is quite concerned that they might actually send him back to her, and she even calls the Canadian consulate to just say, don't send him back to me. And then a tall dark man, at least tall man, maybe a dark man, tall man who comes to her door, which apparently all around her property, it's surrounded by protesters who are protesting in support of her, but she'd just like them to get lost. And it's so far, it's like she's got such a funny, engaging, irascible voice. She seems to have memory problems. she seems to be getting prosecuted for something, or maybe in trouble for something. I don't know what it. I don't know what it is yet. This is kind of wonderful things of like, oh, Bina. Okay, I'll pick that up and see what it's about because I don't know. So I get to construct it from what she tells me as we go along, and how reliable she is, or just how coherent she is, or how good of a listener I am is all there. So yeah, I'm so far so good on Bina by Anakina Schofield, which I had to look up. I went through a bunch of videos. It's like somebody say her name. Somebody say her name. It's like Anakina uh, Schofield, which is funny because she's Bina. Bina is her main character that has to have a little pronunciation thing. So because Bina is Bina, and Anakina is Anakana, which I would not have guessed of how to pronounce things. So hey, I'm becoming a slightly more professional, not professional, competent booktuber, learning how to pronounce things. So I'm sure I mispronounced a whole bunch of other things throughout this video. All right, so we've had lots of we've had rain, we've had dogs, we've had glasses. What more can you ask for in a Sunday Reads, except here? Oh, Theo. Hey, honey. Oh, you're so wet. Oh, you're so wet and grubby. That's what happens when I let you out in the rain. Oh no. Oh no. Why can't you be like your big sister? Your big sister's wonderful. And slightly put upon, but at least she gets to beat up her little brother every once in a while, and that's fun. All right. More videos later.